So I asked people on Threads what they wanted to ask me, and I've pivoted my career 5 times, and a lot of people were like, "How did you do it?" Specifically, how did I land a six-figure remote job after my sabbatical? So I had a gap in my resume, and I also pivoted, right? And how did I do it? So after I was laid off, I was unemployed for 11 months and I had planned to take a whole year off, but I kept reading LinkedIn and I was really nervous about the job scene. So I was like, let me just start applying. And I gave myself 6 months to get a job. I ended up getting a job in 3 months, right? So I want to talk about how I landed that fully remote job, how I increased my salary, without really, I didn't know anyone, right? I didn't have any insider connections. I didn't know anyone at the company. I didn't even know much about the industry. I just knew that it was an industry that was good to get into and I wanted to be in there. So I applied. So I'm just going to walk through in this video how just me and these steps, the strategy, the clarity, and the shift of how I told my story helped me land this job and how it can help you land a job too. Okay. So this video is for you if you have been someone who you've been loyal to an industry, but it's not loyal to you and you're ready to bounce. You're an educator, a nurse, a social worker, an administrator, an analyst, a parent, right? And you're tired of starting over, but even more tired of staying stuck, right? And I believe that pivoting does not mean starting over, right? It's building on your work. You want a remote, flexible, purposeful job, but you don't even know where to start. This is also for you. Okay. Some of you are project managers who fell out of love with your work because the system broke your spirit, right? Some of you have decades of experience and you feel invisible in a market that claims to value all your experience, but is always telling you that you're overqualified and not hiring you, right? And some of you have applied to hundreds of jobs and it feels like your inbox has turned into a graveyard of rejections, right? These are all frustrating, but you're not broken. The system is confusing, right? You are not broken. I really want to cement on that. But I do want to say the system is confusing, right? And when you're navigating a system that's chaotic, you use creativity to figure out the next steps, right? You use strategy in how you present your value. So that's what we're going to talk about here. And one of the books I really enjoy is called The Squiggly Career. And it says it's not a straight climb to the top anymore. It's more about learning how to pivot, how to adapt, and design your own course. And that is why we're here, right? My favorite author, and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm just going to read it. It says, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The lasting truth is change. And you probably already know who this is, the famous Octavia Butler, who reminds us that the only lasting truth is change, right? So we might as well just learn to work with it, right? So that's why we're here today. And as I've mentioned, I've pivoted my career 5 times. I started out as a school social worker. I moved to nonprofits, to higher ed, to local government, to education tech, and now I work in SaaS. And I've had so many job titles, right, during this time. But and because of that, I really strongly believe that job titles do not matter. What matters actually is your own understanding of the value that you bring and the through line in that work, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? Um, how to reposition yourself and the shift from searching to strategizing to change really the way that you approach your work, okay? And one of the main things that we're going to focus on is clarity coming from experimentation rather than overthinking, right? I didn't find or land in my current role or pretty much any of the roles I've done when I've been pivoting by deciding what I want to do forever. And I think so many people come to me when they work with me in coaching and they're like, I want to do this. Like, I want to live out this passion of mine, right? And whatever passion that you've had for so long. And you're either chasing passion, so it's really hard to find a job, right? I don't believe in dream jobs. I believe in aligned jobs. Or you are like, oh my gosh, once I make this pivot, I've pivoted, so that's where I'm going to be for the rest of my career. No, I think some of the studies say that you're going to change your career 5 times. I've already pivoted 5 times. in my career, right? And as AI and all these other things come up, we know it's going to be more and more and more. So it's not about you deciding what you want forever. It's about following the direction that you sense is next, and that's following your curiosity. Like, what are you questioning? What are you asking? What do you want to learn, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. And as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to rebrand your narrative and your identity. So many of us attach our work, the title that we're giving at work, right? So if you are a program manager, if you are the senior director, you attach that power, that title, that skills, like not even the skills that the who you believe yourself to be and who others believe you to be. You make that your identity. And what I want you to do is attach yourself to your skill set, to your impact, right? Meaning that you lead with the problems that you solve, right? If you're a program manager, what are you doing? You're able to communicate clearly to people so everyone is able to see what they need to do, when they need to do it, and get a project done on time, which means that you have high impact. You're able to solve problems of capacity, of resourcing. That is what you're attaching yourself to. And if you dig into this a little bit deeper, I won't get into this on this video, but like this is where we start talking about your zone of genius, your zone of competence, right? As you dig deeper into the different jobs that you want or you have done, it's really important to start figuring out, do I like program management because I really like working with people, or am I just simply good at it? Because if you're just simply good at it, then it's a good to have in the back of your pocket. But maybe we won't spend all of our time looking for other jobs that do the same thing. Rather, we will find what actually makes you happy and curious and thrive, right? So if you're a program manager, maybe what makes you thrive is that you get to work with different tools and projects and learn and be a nerd about the different technology that's coming out. And by nature, if you're being a program manager, you are able to do that. And that's what you enjoy. So that's your zone of genius, right? So first you start with, what problems am I solving? Right. And you're leading with the language of impact, the impact that you're having by doing your job, not the activity, the impact. And then that leads you to, okay, now that I understand my impact, do I enjoy this, or am I just good at it? And what we want in our career is that with each job, with each pivot, we're getting closer and closer to spending more of our time doing what brings us joy. And we're doing less and less of what we're just good at, but we don't necessarily care for, right? So, and a way to explain this is like, let's say you're an admin, right? Rather than saying, "Oh, I'm an admin," you need to start thinking about yourself like an operational backbone, right? If you're a teacher, you start thinking about yourself as a learning designer. You curate learning experiences, which then result in students being able to grasp knowledge quickly in a way that they can understand, to then obviously be able to read, write, do math, whatever the case might be. Okay. This is really important. Clarity comes from action and not thought. So you might think to yourself, I want to move to tech. I want to be a customer success manager. I want to do XYZ. But if you just leave that thought what it is, it doesn't give you much clarity. But you can do things, right? You can go start speaking to people. You can start applying to jobs. And maybe the first one or two conversations you have, you might not ask all the perfect questions, but but literally the main question you need to ask is, what is the day in your life? Why do you do this job? What encourages you about this job? Right. And from there, you're going to start hearing things that make you ask other questions. Right. And that will then lead you to exploring other things, other companies, other jobs, and that'll move you forward. But simply thinking about it or scrolling all the time is not necessarily the way to go. But a quick caveat, it's really important to curate your social media to get where you want to do. I have a whole video about how I paid off 60K worth of debt using social media, and I'm not an influencer, right? Um, social media can be really helpful. So if you want to learn into that, hop over to that when you're done with this. But so that's one way, right? Making sure you're talking about your impact and making sure that you're taking baby steps in your action. Two, stack your skills strategically, right? Make sure your skills work together like a portfolio. So maybe you started out as a social worker, which made you really good at crisis management, which made you really good at listening to people and needs assessment, right? You take that, and then later on, you learn about this thing called UX researcher, and you realize that a UX researcher is someone who asks people questions in the tech world in order to understand how they use the product. So maybe you will do some research on that. Maybe you start doing that more. You do a UX project yourself, and that way you stack another skill, right? And as you're doing that, you might learn how to use Figma, and then you stack another skill, right? So it's about working all your skills together rather than whoop, fully 180. Actually, it's a 180, fully 180 pivoting into something totally different. This is what prevents you from starting over all the time, right? Um, if that is not clear, please let me know in the comments and I can go on it, right? And as you're skill stacking, right? You start off as a social worker. Next thing you know, you're working in tech as a product manager because you've stacked all these different skill sets. And that is because you're following where the market is going, right? Not what is trending today. So you're saying to yourself, okay, if people are going to use more and more SaaS products, what problems are going to pop up in the future? Maybe the market is going to be oversaturated. Maybe people won't know how to use different things. So let me learn how to quickly identify their needs and see what they like and what they don't like, and make sure I'm building a career of that for myself, right? Or currently with the boom of AI, it's people obviously need to learn how to use AI and it's going to be integrated into our work. So right now everyone wants to like ship out actual AI products, but something that might be more helpful in the future is actually learning how to use all these AI products and keep them running and functioning up to date, right? Or again, my background is social work, so the way I think is like, well, as we advance more and more in social work, the same way that we're in a crisis right now with social media and all the ills of social media, and there's so many psychologists being hired, um, talking about how social media is impacting people's attention span and things of that nature. AI has an ethics problem. So at some point, we're going to see more, and it's even starting already. We're going to see more and more companies hiring to make sure that the way that the AI is being built is ethical, that it has some guardrails, right? So if you already have a skill set in something like behavioral, like psychology, sociology, anthropology, any of those liberal arts, this is right for you. So go get it, you know? So that's what I mean by skill stacking and by going where the market is going, right? Focus on your transferable skills of communication, tech fluency, systems thinking. Use what you already have and then build. Don't try to be something new. Don't spend so much time working on your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths and then find out how your strengths are available to you to keep improving in different areas, right? And then as you do this, show your work publicly, like build visible proof. So as you are building this, as you're learning, all these different things and you're improving your communication skills. So let's say you love communication and you do really well with face to face, but now you're learning how to use AI for communication. Talk about that on all your socials. Oh my gosh, I just try to like edit my case notes or my proposal using AI and it sounded so robotic. So this is what I did. This is what I asked it. This is how I tweaked it in order to make it sound more human. That is super powerful because if anyone's on the internet right now, everyone is pushing back on AI slop. People are like, it doesn't sound human, it doesn't resonate. So if you are a strong communicator and you have figured out how to have your voice come through while you're still using AI, that is something that people really want right now because people are going to use AI, but people don't want to be called out for sounding robotic. So if you're able to teach them with your communication skill set how to do that, that is a job. So you can do this with the posts that you're doing on any social media. You can do this by commenting your insights on other people's stuff if you don't want to be, creating content right away. And it has small wins, challenges, observations, roadblocks. Everything is game, right? So that's another way. Recruiters at the end of the day trust evidence. And this is why I get a lot of pushback on this, but I'm not a big proponent of like running to a certification or a degree right away. Right? Another degree is not necessarily going to save you. What will save you is your evidence. And that is why I say go and learn the things, go to YouTube, read a book, and then keep, putting things out there. As you keep doing this, if you want to go to school now, because you're like, "No, I've affirmed that I really want to do this and I want to get better and I want to get technical, etc., then by all means go to school and please find a free program if you can, especially if it's a certification. But I push back on that being your very first step because I've been hired a ton of times without having a certification in something because I've shown that I'm able to learn and iterate quickly. And that is what you want to do as well, right? Then, lastly, build your career capital, right? People need to see your evolution, not just read about it. So, as you're posting, as you're talking, as you're going to conferences, as you're putting your products out there, people are seeing you grow in your career and they want to work with you because now they trust you. Okay. Um, So I just shared three things, right? So it's rebrand your narrative, stack skills strategically, and build visibility, right? And then once you do that, as you're doing all of this, you're constantly framing yourself, right? Give yourself structure, right? Rebrand the narrative people have around you. Treat your experiences like case studies, right? So as you're putting this out there, it's just a case study. You're not attaching yourself to one job title. What you're attaching yourself to is a person who likes to learn, a person who likes to show things, right? Because we understand that careers aren't like ladders anymore. I like to think about it like a spider web, right? Like you have a core central thing that is true to you, that's the middle, but then you have all these different sections, right? And these different like ladders or the little snippets and all of it, right? And that is you building your skill set. That's the different projects that you have to strengthen it, to make yourself sticky and attractive for people to come to you. Right? It helps you show the overlap between your current work, your current world, and where you want to go to next. Right? So that's how it all comes together. And as you're doing this, if you're feeling stuck, hopefully as you take these little steps, as you keep sharing and as you share, other people who are doing the same things as you are going to join in community with you. People who are curious about your work are going to start talking to you. So hopefully, as if you feel stuck, this starts unwinding that for you, right? But I do want to acknowledge if you're feeling stuck, it doesn't mean that you're behind, right? It means your old identity is expiring. And it's like, no, I'm good. Like we have done this. What did the elders used to say? We've done it, we've written the book, whatever. Like you're done. And your body, your soul knows it, right? Oh my God. Your body and your soul knows it and is ready to move on. Right. And the hardest part in pivoting is admitting that you're ready for more, admitting that, yes, I've put 20 years into this and it's time to move on. But when you do that admission, realizing that that 20 years, that 10 years, that 5 years that you've put into it, even the degree that you got that you feel like, oh, now it's no longer helpful, that's not true. Every single thing you learn in life compounds. I'll use myself. I have a undergrad in human psychology, applied psychology and human development, sociology. My master's is in social work. I call myself a tech social worker now because I work in tech and I still use the same things I learned as a social worker in my role as a change management strategist, as a trainer, when I was in talent acquisition, when I was doing workshops for teachers, right? Even though those titles don't have social work in them, I still use those skill sets. If we look at someone like Michelle Obama was trained as a lawyer and then she started working in health at a hospital as I think she was a program manager or director or something. And then obviously she was first lady, right? Like you don't need a law degree obviously to be a first lady or to be a program director. I'm sure someone could be like, oh, these are other degrees that she should have done. But guess what? Her law degree helped her move in that way, right? So let's like, I think that's what we should lean into of like, what skill sets am I learning rather than thinking to yourself, um, oh my God.